I'm Matt Braunger. This might help.
I am not a doctor.
This might help.
I'm not a professional.
Let's have fun. This honestly is a good time.
Honestly, I got no idea what I'm doing. What's going on? Who are you?
I'm Matt Braunger. This might help. The podcast. Hey, welcome to This Might Help with Matt Braunger, the non-clinical advice just for fun and laughs podcast. This episode, I have an old friend who I never see, but who I'm a major fan of, and has a podcast called The Dollop, involving history and hijinks. Please welcome Dave Anthony. Dave, how are you, man?
Thank you. This is when I usually hear applause, so it's a little weird not to hear.
we don't edit in that shit. No dice.
I don't see anybody anymore. I live up in the hills, way above LA, and I never go down into LA anymore. I hadn't been in LA in 2 years. I live in La Crescenta, so it's like north of Glendale. It's like right up against Los Angeles Forest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just never. I went to LA 2 weeks ago, and I don't think I'd been there in 2 years. I honestly because a part of that's because of COVID, but also just like I like just staying here.
Yeah, I think we've just all aligned with those people who, you know, I'm sure do as a stand-up. You had that character who was like, no, I live in Big Bear. And you're like, what? You know, or like I live, you know, and you're like, how can you? You're nowhere near all the fun. And it's partly age and partly COVID and partly just comfort. A lot of us have just been like, no, I found this place. It's safe. There's nothing around me. I love it, you know? So that's cool.
You're also not like everyone here knows me as Dave as opposed to Dave the comedian. You know what I mean? All the local people I know, some of them know and they figure it out, but it's nice. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely. It's funny. I'll occasionally meet, like, who was it? Somebody was my aunt knew someone. Met someone was like, oh, I heard your nephew is Matt Braunger, and she's like, yeah, and like, oh, but my aunt's like, oh yeah, I guess people might know who you are or something. So
yeah,
yeah. I should apologize. My parents are watching the kid downstairs in what is basically a house with no walls. It's one of those places that someone built that doesn't, you know, one of those new agey places where like, who needs doors? We can all just be around each other, and I'll shit, and you can be near me, and we'll talk. I can just hang out. I think that'll be fun.
You're describing my worst nightmare.
I definitely my wife and I grabbed the room with a door, and she's working in there now because she's on, you know, like these conference meetings that are important and things.
Oh yeah.
And so, you know, Rose of course was napping, and her subconscious is like, oh fuck, is my dad podcasting? Time to rock it. Time to get up and hang out.
I want to be loud.
So it'll be intermittent, you know.
Yeah.
I think it gets loud, they'll take her for a walk or something.
You know what though? It's an advice show. A little kid having a good time in the background is fine. That works.
Yeah. How old? You have two, right?
I have one.
You have one. You have a son.
I have a 12-year-old. Yeah, boy.
Yes. Okay. Right on.
Yeah, he's all baseball all the time. That's his thing. That's all it is. All baseball 24/7.
I like a young man that just introduces himself that way. Like, I'm all baseball all the time.
Any other sport, he's like, no, that sport is dumb. Soccer, dumb. Football, dumb. They're just all dumb. We come home from baseball practice. He's like, hey, do you want to play catch in the backyard? It's like, wow. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That is all baseball all the time.
All baseball.
Yeah.
He sits at his computer, and while he has two computer screens, he's gaming on one, and he has YouTube baseball highlights going 24/7 on the other.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's a lot. Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, my friend's daughter was like this fun little bubbly thing, and then she hit a certain age, and then she's like Billie Eilish. Like she's a huge Billie Eilish fan, and just like stone faced, and just things are important. I was in the Bay Area on Sunday doing a show with Irene Two and Nato Green, and Nato's daughter and non-binary child came. They're twins, and the daughter was talking to me, and just the most serious person. Like, it was a good show. You did a lot of sex stuff. Like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, young girl. I apologize, but to be fair, they are serving beer here, so I don't know why you're.
So yeah, yeah, that's actually on you. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, talking about the sex stuff.
Yeah, you seem in good spirits, man. I kind of hit a little bit of a wall this morning reading the news, like you often do. I think I do that every single day, but you know, it's just, I don't know. It's just like, well, I just got to keep on keeping on. Like, how are you?
I think some of this stuff is hitting other people. I think this hit me before now. Like like the fires I knew were coming for months. Like all this stuff is like, well, yeah, now the fires are here. Oh, they're worse than they were. Oh, so it's the same pattern. They get worse okay. So like, it's none of it's surprising. Like, oh, a town's going to burn. Okay. Yeah. Town's going to burn. Oh, there's a hurricane. Right. Well, they told us there was going to be a hurricane for really bad hurricanes for a while. And now there's a bad hurricane. Yeah. Okay. So it's just all like, I don't know. It just kind of doesn't really faze me. Like maybe it did, it's honestly a couple of years ago. I think the hardest part for me has been personal stuff. Like, we've lost friends in COVID and stuff like that. So for me, that's been the more difficult stuff, but the sort of larger picture stuff, I just all is what I expected to happen. So I guess I'm kind of handling it differently, if that makes sense.
No, I mean, that's smart. I feel like as much as I tell myself don't spin out on the shit, someone nailed it about that during COVID, everybody's thing is the serenity prayer, not just alcoholics. Where it's like, it's literally accept the things you cannot change, and work to change the things you can, and know the difference. And it's kind of like, yeah, the fires are they scare the shit out of me. So does the political angles of a huge swath of our country, in terms of the insanity, in terms of the unwillingness to even look at reality. But really, what can I do about that? Could I possibly make a video or something that would change hearts and minds? No, absolutely not. So as long as I'm kind of making people happy and also working for certain social causes that you can work on, like, it's all I can do. And
I think that's important. I think, like you said, social causes, I think that's helpful. I think like getting out there, and I've been doing some stuff and helping out where I can. And that's good. But you really, like, you're right. You can't, the bigger picture is just beyond our control. At one point I was like 6 months ago, I was like, I want to start making videos, like news stuff. And then I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, I'm watching everyone just scream at each other. Even people on the left screaming at each other, people screaming at the right, everyone's screaming. And I'm just like, what is that going to do if I am putting something else out there? Nothing. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah. And especially if I react to someone who I disagree with diametrically, and you realize, oh, you're just making money. Oh, okay. And if I were to flip out on you or go, hey, what the hell is this person doing? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, it's just feeding into your brand. That's your whole thing, to kind of be the amoeba that just absorbs. That's just like, look at me, react. And it's just like, no, I have to ignore you. Like, what's his name? The guy, if you okay, the Simpsons episode where the monster's like, just don't look.
Oh yeah.
It's you just have to, if we stopped saying a certain former president's name for a while, he would have just burst into flames, I think. It's all he lived for. All he lived for.
He was 24/7 gaslighting. That's all he was doing.
Yeah. And it's kind of on all of us to use that as a microcosm and go, yeah, maybe I just won't hurt myself because this person's driving me crazy. Maybe
there was a really interesting, I can't remember what it was, but there was an email you could sign up for, and you didn't have to read the news while he was president. and they would send you a breakdown of everything that happened at the end of the day, and then you could just read it and go, okay, well, in 5 minutes I saw everything that happened, and then you could move on. So you wouldn't have to pay attention to all the, because it was just nonsense. It was just 24/7, just absolute garbage. And you would get, people would get upset about it and scream about it, and then he would move on to the next thing. I mean, there were times you could celebrate. When he got COVID, like that was just a euphoria that we hadn't experienced in a while. I mean, everyone was very, very excited. But I mean, aside from those,
I will give him credit for at least showing up on a balcony and taking off a mask to show us the raw fear in his eyes.
Yes.
Just, I know he was like, in his mind, look at how strong I am. But there's there's a thing, even though it was unintentional, I just appreciate him showing us that the terror that was obvious on his face and body languge.
Yes, absolute terror.
I feel so horrible. All I eat is McDonald's. if someone could soothe me somehow.
I can only think of all the people who are dying right now, and all they think of is their last thoughts are like, why did I eat so much McDonald's? Oh my God. It didn't work out in the end. It's such a brutal, COVID is so brutal because it goes after you for, not being, I mean, look, healthy people are dying, but it goes after you for not being healthy. Like it's this thing that, and then you have to, like, you're sitting there and you're like, oh, could I have, because I have no, like, if I have no ability to, like, I can't keep weight off. I can't not eat sugar. Like and those are things that, if COVID comes, it's going to be like, oh, remember all that pie you enjoyed? Like, I'll be like, yeah, I enjoyed all the pie. Yeah. And then you're sitting there dying. You're like, why did I like all that pie all the time? Like, it's just,
I think it was like the last quote that, not the last thing they heard, but someone was like, yeah, Johnny Carson, when he was hooked up to the respirator, just was like, them damn cigarettes.
Yeah, I mean, that's 100%.
He never was not smoking. Like, even when the show was on and he'd do the monologue, go backstage, smoke a cigarette. He'd go and be smoking a cigarette, put it out, they'd wave the smoke away. My next guest, like, and we'd bring the person out, and then the person would, then he'd go to commercial, he'd light up, like, he had a little cigarette box, like, right there.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people that I smoked cigarettes when I was drunk. That was it. I would bum a ton of cigarettes off of people and, like, oh, I love this feeling. And then I would feel exponentially terrible the next day.
Always so much worse. So
much worse, because it's just robs your body of all vitamins that alcohol didn't already take care of. And, like, I remember I was out, I had my last one outside the Improv in 2009. And I don't know what it was, but it was just like, I'm just done with these. Just something hit me, and I never had one since, and never had that. Oh, I think because I feel like I will, if I'm just like, hey, have a drag at that Parliament, I would have a heart attack right there. Like, right then, my heart would freeze up. Like, I'd grip my arm and spit and would collapse.
Yeah, no, I remember those. I would smoke when I was drunk too, and then and then the next day you would always feel so much worse. Yeah. I don't know when I stopped doing it too. There was a point I just stopped. Also, I was like, why is this a thing that I'm doing?
Yeah,
terrible. Yeah. It's not worth it.
Do you feel? I feel like the abuse of substances is never done well in movies and television.
Ever, very rarely does it happen that it's nailed.
Yeah, like I just
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas did a really nice job of what acid trip is like. So there are some examples, but usually you watch it and you're like, this is the dumbest. Like, has this person ever done drugs? Or
well, like I watch like Goliath, which I really enjoyed. I love the first season. I hated the second season. And it's this guy in his 60s who is drinking brown liquor every single day and smoking cigarettes, and you never see him wake up and hold his head and like just make a noise like he's lost a family member he loves, like just screaming with the pain.
Yeah,
his skin feels awful and it burns with terrible toxicity. Yeah. None of the stuff that I used to experience in my
Right.
30s and early 40s, where I just would go so strong and just go, what are next day, like, why
Yes.
this whole day
Always
is ruined.
ruined. I think that's why I stopped. I mean, look, I'll still drink if I'm on the road or whatever, but I just don't drink that much, because then I'm just like, well, that the whole day is just shot the next day.
Yeah. You definitely, when you're younger, you're kind of like, I'm going to drink to get fucked up. And that's what you do. And then when you're older, you're like, I'm going to drink just enough to not feel like death tomorrow.
But Goliath would actually be a terrible show if every other episode was him just laying around the house going, oh, fuck.
I can't. God. You have court today. Nope.
No.
Just file a motion. Can you call it? He just keep every other episode is him going, can you just call a bomb threat in to the state house? Because so is it, like, what are you doing besides the family, besides the podcast? That's what's it right now? Or
that's pretty much it. I am germinating a one-man show a bit to take to Australia next spring if we can. And then that's it. I'm always toying with, should I do a script? I've got one mostly done, but I'm just like, do I want to finish it? It's very hard. I mean, look, the bill came due, and it's very hard to tell anything as a white guy right now, which is just how it fucking works. Like, welcome to life, white guys. That's just how it bounces back.
That is the best I've had it. I've heard it. The bill came due. That's because it's like they're like. When I hear guys go, well, I'm a white male, so I can't get anything made. He's like, no, you're putting it the wrong way. They're only looking for certain white male, like in terms of Netflix, like let's just say specifically like Netflix specials. I was explaining this to an interviewer once, where it's kind of like, he's like, why isn't your next special going to be on Netflix? I'm like, I'm just going to tell you right now, probably why it's not. And it, could next week something could happen. I could save a dog from drowning, and I'm in the news, and then it's just like, oh, we want your special. Because you have this fame and this demographic. It's just, they already have Jim Gaffigan, right. or Brian Regan or something. They don't need me. All they're doing is filling holes in terms of, like, there was, I remember an Indonesian guy who got an hour, and people are like, I've never heard of him. And like, they're trying to make inroads to Indonesia. Are you, hey, random guy in Boise. Are they? Do you think Indonesia wants your hour? I don't think, like it's, or I should specifically, like, some guy in North Hollywood that's hitting the bricks all the time. It's just not, but that the bill came due that's such a funny way to put what.
I mean, it's always been so true. And there's always, I started comedy ages ago, and there was always like a quota system of a sort. Like, they would have this many of this people and this many of this people and this many of this people, but it was always far more white guys than it was anybody else. So look, now it's a time period where it doesn't, and some white guys aren't going to get work. Like, I know great writers. I know great writers. Like, most writers suck in Hollywood, but I know great writers who cannot get work. Like, they were 3 years ago, they were hot shit, and they're really funny writers. Well, now they can't get work, and unfortunately, there is a section of people who are getting work who aren't deserving. But that's kind of what Hollywood's always been.
And the status quo has always been like, oh, we have to be, we can, let's have a couple diverse hires, and it'd be like 3, and then the rest will be normal hires, and that'd be like 12 white males. It's like, wait, why? So now normal's changing in a good way. So it's just, everyone has to adjust. The one thing that did bug me. Sorry, go ahead.
Have you ever heard of the show American Vandal?
Yeah, totally.
It's very funny. I really liked it, but I went in on a meeting for that before it started, and I walked into the meeting, and it was 5 or 6 white guys and me interviewing me, and they liked me. And at the end, they're like, "Well, this is great." And I go, "You guys are going to hire me?" And they were like, "What?" And I go, "I'm a white guy. There's 5 or 6 white guys.
There's too many of us.
You're absolutely not hiring me." And everyone was just like, "Yeah, that's true."
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah. The times I've gotten actually like pissed about it is when the gatekeepers are white men, and they're kind of like
Yeah.
they're like an executive that's like, look, we here at so and so, and I'm sitting there looking at him going, hey man, who can do your job, son of a bitch? You know, you're looking at me
Yeah.
and judging. You're me, dude. We're the same age, bro.
Yeah, we're exactly
You're straight, right? Yep. Fuck off, rich guy. I had a friend who works on the other side of the biz. She reps writers, and she had a female client who you know and I know who is great, and I won't say who she is, but she's a hilarious writer, and extremely condescendingly, an executive said to my friend who reps her, I think we have enough white women. And it's a white man who said this. And it was like, are you fucking kidding me? I mean, this is a guy who probably goes home and is like, you know, I love diversity, and I've always been like, he's so proud of himself, and he's still doing that colonialist bullshit.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I am the giver, I am the provider, I am so to speak of let's just say a founding father of this business, and I deign to throw crumbs to the ones of color and non-penile genitalia, and that is who I am, and it's
really. I had this thing where the last show I was on, it was diverse. It was a diverse writer's room, but not diverse economically, right? So these people were all from very rich, mostly Ivy League schools. And I was like, that's not diversity. And so I said, look, if we do a second season, you know what we should do? We should go to like community colleges around LA and go to the English teachers, go, do you know a kid who doesn't have access to this world because of the agents and the managers don't let them in? I said, do you have a kid that you think has potential and wants to be a screenwriter? Well, we'll read their scripts and we'll pick one or two to get someone who doesn't have a voice of like, I went to college. I like a kid who's just struggling and doesn't have access. And the showrunner was like, yeah, that's a good fucking idea. Why don't we do that? And then from the producer came, tell Dave to stop being a white savior. And I was like, holy shit.
Oh boy.
Because they have a roadblock. Like they don't let those, they're not going to community colleges to look for writers. They're going to Harvard and Yale and Dartmouth.
Yep.
And so those people are already doing pretty well. And so I was trying to figure out a way of like, well, what's that kid who has a fucking dream and doesn't have access to these people and doesn't know how to network and whatever it fucking takes. And that's the response I got. Now it's just like, wow, man.
And that's such a condescending, shitty response. You didn't say, find a kid that goes to community college and is hilarious and you know, whip crack smart, and I want 10%. You know, it's not, you're potentially putting your own job in danger. It's like
and honestly, I just wanted a different voice in the room, because all I was hearing fucking stories of fucking people at their frat houses and shit, and I was like, what about a kid who doesn't have any of this? Like, what about that fucking guy? The lady or whatever it is, you know?
The amount of those writers that come in, and I mean that from, you know, the Harvard Lampoon, such funny people, but it's almost a formulaic way of thinking at this point. This is how you write a sitcom script. It's like, that's why all these sitcoms feel and sound the same.
The same pattern, everything.
Yeah. It's and you would like, if you look on paper and you have two straight white guys our age on a podcast, I think this is where we'd flip out and talk about cancel culture and scream and say, oh, God, get on.
I mean, it's just so funny because the cancel culture thing is so stupid. There's finally the masses have a voice because of social media. Fucking deal with it.
Yeah,
People don't like
sorry.
this shit. I mean, I hate it. I hate getting attacked, but it's like, you know, sometimes they're right. And also, I have to, you don't have to listen to it, but it's like most people, the majority of people aren't going to like you as a comedian. It's a subjective thing. And usually it's just like 10% of people might enjoy you. A bunch of don't care about you. And then a few fucking hate you. And it's like, that's what it is. That's the deal.
Yeah. And I will say I don't have the biggest career, but I think the people who don't like me, I just wouldn't like either, and that's
Yeah,
fine. And we can
yeah.
kind of agree to
It's not.
not
You're
be
not for
around
them.
each other.
Yeah, I don't need to hear it. You're just. I'm not for you. Matt's not for you. It doesn't fucking matter. Just go about your
Doesn't
business.
matter. Go with
But
God.
I do agree. Like I'm very much on the like. Okay, rape jokes. We're good. We've heard them.
Right.
Like that kind of shit. That kind of shit. I'm like, yeah. No, it's actually not creative, and you're not.
Yeah.
It turns out you're not doing anything interesting with it.
No.
Like so, there's a lot of stuff. I'm just like, okay. Words I used to use. I grew up. I stopped fucking using them. People told me like the terms I used to use for trans people or offending
me too.
people.
Me
I
too.
had no malicious intent.
Nope.
And then I find out it's wrong, and I go, okay, well, guess what? I can drop that fucking word because it's a fucking
Yep.
matter to me.
Dude, I'm taping a special in a month, and because of NATO's daughter going, you had a lot of sex stuff, and then someone else said that in confidence, and I was like, I should work on let me work on some more personal stuff, because none of my sex stuff is like, ooh, I'm fucking this chick, check it out. It's all about weird foibles of humanity, but I'm like, yeah, I don't want all my shit to be literally dick jokes. I should work on some more stuff about parenting here, kind of thing. But
Yeah.
all right, well, and also the thing I always think about is like, who really's been canceled? Louis going to be playing Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I mean, nobody is actually fucking canceled because again,
Nobody.
they have that 10% or whatever that love them, so they're not getting canceled. They're
Nope.
just that's it. No one's getting
And
canceled.
moment of silence for Mike Richards losing his Jeopardy position. Everyone was rooting for him. Seemed like such a great guy. Like really. So who? Like he went from who's that? He's a Jeopardy hoe. What did he say? A goodbye. Like. And also, he was like an EP of Jeopardy for like 100 years.
He
what's he
fucking
gonna
blew it.
What can we do with him? Oh, the poor guy will just float away on a barge of banded hundreds. Like what? How much?
It's just fucking. It's just amazing that when you have those skeletons in your closet and you put yourself out there like that, I will never. Get that. Hey, you're doing really well. Keep your fucking head down, you asshole.
Please.
No, it's gonna be great. I'm gonna host Jeopardy. It's gonna be. You overstepped.
Can you picture him having like a kid in college and him just coming like no self-awareness calling his son, hey, listen, I'm going to put myself in the pole position. He's like, what do you mean, Dad? I'm going to host Jeopardy. Now that Trebek's gone, I think it's good for me. And he's like, Dad, look, I love you no matter what, because I know you have a good heart, but you say some crazy shit. I mean, when we're out and you're having a couple drinks, and you love the term like sugar tits and you yell it. And I don't even know what the shit he said to get canceled, but like something where your son that is like, I love you no matter what, but you don't behave well, and it's documented. Woman got you on video at the Applebee's screaming about the cabal of Jews, and it was really fucked up. Or what You know who
never did that? Alex Trebek. He never screamed about the cabal of Jews. That's why he had the job.
The worst Alex Trebek did was maybe have a couple too many drinks, and that is universally embraced. Like you will never get canceled. Like, oh, he liked a beer in between shows. Fucking yeah, USA.
Yeah. Nobody gives a shit. It's the thing where you're talking horrible shit about women that people are like, oh, maybe you should be the Jeopardy host. Next question.
Maybe
who uses the word sugar tits all the time?
Okay, so on that note, I'm realizing I took sugar tits from everyone's favorite Mel Gibson.
Yeah. He's back.
Are you ready for the calls? We have 3 calls we're gonna do.
Yeah.
So as I told you before we started recording, I don't know what's on here. We don't know what we're gonna get, but let's roll the first one. Check it out.
Yeah, this question's more for Dave Anthony. I recently got blocked by a left liberal writer on Twitter, and I just want to know, is he just a thin-skinned prick, or am I just really a bad leftist for taking it personally? Love y'all. See you at Moon Tower.
I mean, I will say, like, we do get callers that, and I've said this a lot, and to the mighties, meaning the people who like the show, and listen to the show, please, I appreciate your brevity. Little more information. little more, because I've said this a lot, but it'll be like, my girlfriend broke up with me. Is she a bitch or what? Beep. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
You need. So I will preface it with that, but go. You take.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's yours.
So yeah, no, I block people all the time, but I'm not really on Twitter anymore. But yeah, it's very funny. People are like, "You're thin-skinned," and I'm like, maybe. And this is like, maybe if you were in my shoes and people were saying the same thing to you over and over and over again, and you weren't reading the replies that I had said, maybe at some point I get tired of it and just start blocking all of you for saying the same thing over and over and over again. Also, like, if there's just, Twitter's one of those things where, like, I make my point. I'm not really interested in arguing with you. That's not what I want to do. You don't have to follow me. Like, you don't have to follow me. And then, so now you want me to argue with some guy, you're in fucking Iowa, and you want me to hear your point. Well, I'm not following you. Like, if I wanted to, I mean, this is just being very honest. If I wanted to hear your opinions, I would probably be following you. I follow people with 10, 10 followers. I follow people with hundreds of thousands of followers and everything in between. I think you're interesting, then I follow you, and I start trying to boost you and stuff. But there's just so many people that are just, they're coming at you all the time, and I'm not interested. I mean, if thin skin, I'm not interested. I'm generally just like, I don't fucking care. And I'm sorry I blocked you, but I generally don't fucking care. I just don't care. Like, you're throwing shit at me, and I don't give a shit. I mean, I don't know what else to tell people. It's just such a weird, it's just weird. This is where the entitlement thing comes in. Like, you will hear my opinion. I really don't care about your opinion. I'm just not fucking interested. And I'm sorry if you're a leftist and I'm supposed to, I guess, bond with you over being I don't know if you've ever seen leftists, but we don't like each other. It's a pretty fucking historical thing. We've killed each other. We've done there's a lot of fucking history of leftists not liking each other. A lot of leftists I don't like. I think a lot of leftists are just fucking assholes, and I just block them. And if you come at me with a bad, and then people go, yeah, but you do that, right? You should have blocked me. I 100%. Well, I will come at people too hard on Twitter. Absolutely do I do that. I always expect to be blocked. Always. I've never once gone at anybody and ever thought, well, we're going to keep having a relationship. I think I'm going to be blocked. And so I treat people the same way. I'll fucking block you if you come at me. And some people are like, well, we had a different opinion. A lot of times when you have a different opinion, a lot of times I think you're dumb. I mean, I just straight up, I try to make points to people, and there's some nuance involved or whatever, and they're seeing it black and white, and I just, you're out. I mean, there's so many fucking reasons, but the number one reason I block people is because they're dumb, and the number two reason is because they're just annoying. I just don't fucking care.
Yeah, that's the thing that I'm so tired of with Twitter. It's just like, let's have a punch in the face off. Like, this is not, it's not good. It's not productive. It's just dumb. It's just us barfing on each other. Like, what? Yeah,
100%. It's totally that. And if you take yourself out of it, like I have, and then every once in a while you wander in, because I have to go over there every once in a while to because people still send me messages over there.
Yeah.
So I'll wait in and I'll see stuff, and I'm just like you'll see someone post something kind of innocuous, and then just the hate that comes their way.
Yeah.
Just like, what I get it. Everyone's mad right now, and I especially felt during the pandemic. You know, I lost three people that I was really enjoyed. And I didn't want to see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just didn't want to see the bad shit for a while. And I took myself off, and then I was distanced from it. I was like, oh, this feels really good. And then I go back and I see people just being mean to each other. And I'm like, this is not what we should be doing.
Yeah. I mean, it's back to what we were talking about before about, like, maybe take better care of your psyche and your mental health and your emotional health. And that just doesn't do it. Where I would always, if I was on the road and lonely or whatever, I just look at it constantly, and it's just like, this is just making it worse.
Yeah,
this is literally the equivalent of, I feel terrible because I've drank too much, I should drink some more. Like, it's that same like,
totally.
And
did you see the movie on Netflix about the social media? I think it was called Social Media, but
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
They went a little off course with the whatever centrist talking points, but if you look at it just from the aspect of this is super addicting and this is what
Yes.
they're doing, to your brain, I think
Yes.
it's really problematic. I don't
Yeah.
agree with the conclusions that they made, but like the way that they are messing with you, and I mean just down to the most minute things of like looking at how many times you blink and shit, like crazy stuff. It's not good. And I was super addicted. And then it took me like 2 weeks to stop the addiction of wanting to pick up my phone and look at Twitter. I mean,
Wow.
it's an addiction. You pick it up, you want to go to it. But once it's gone, and you don't have it anymore. But it's 100% addictive. There's a part of our brain that always wants discovery. So humans have a need to always find and learn, and that is taking the place of what I think would be more beneficial.
Yeah. I'm on the stage where I definitely feel a guilt and a shame when I pull my phone out to just look at bullshit, you know, and I think that's a healthy step. And I've kind of reached a point where I'm like, yeah, okay, if I think of something genuinely hilarious, maybe I'll post it. That's 10%. 90% is, hey, I got a show coming up.
Yeah.
You know, or, you know, let me repost my friend's thing about their show. Or, you know, like it's because Jonah Ray and I were talking about it, and he's totally off it now. Yeah. And he said, he's like, I was kind of just like goofy and silly. He's like, you would post real stuff, even if it was funny. So people expect you to be real all the time. And I'm like, that's true. Because I'll just post, you know, I mean, I think I posted like, whoops, shot a guy once. And like, not that people got mad, but people were, so, you know, of course people were kind of just like, pardon the phrase, triggered, but we're just like in America, that's, you know, that's normal, or you know, like maybe not, you know, in this country, dude, you know, and it's kind of like, okay, like one of my favorite screenshots was Dave Holmes when some major news item happened that everyone's writing about. They're giving their hot take, and it's a picture of Twitter, and every single one of them is about this person. Maybe they did something bad or good or whatever it was. But in the middle of it was just this random guy, middle tweet of these 17 tweets on Dave's screen that just said, I once strangled a man in an open field. and he said it was the perfect cleanser. What is it hidden among people thinking they're giving you the news? Is this guy that's like, if you picture it in terms of, I can't hold it back anymore. I have to tell someone. Oh, good, Twitter. And it's so evocative. It's so literary.
So
I don't know. Yeah. So anyway.
Wait, can we play this call again? I just want to show you why I blocked this guy. Is it
okay, Renee? Can you? So he's definitely talking about you, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this question's more for Dave Anthony. I recently got blocked by a left liberal writer on Twitter, and I just want to know, is he just a thin-skinned prick, or am I just really a bad leftist for taking it personally? Love y'all. See you at Moon Tower.
Okay. So my belief is that he's talking about me because that's something that people always say, and maybe he's being sincere there, but there's a part where he's like, is he, you know, a prick? And it's like, that might have been why he blocked me.
There's a dig, and that's one of the things that bug me about social media is like, I'm being a dick, but I'm being funny about it. Get over it. Yeah. I'm like your friend. And you're like,
you're not my friend.
No, A, you're not my friend. B, don't act like one, because my friends are funnier than that. My friends can dig on me and say something so much harsher and kinder. But, you know, you can't.
Comedians, look, we go after each other, don't we? I mean, we sit around and we bust balls and we have a good time. And it's just like everything's on the table. Like Marc Maron can go at me at my most vulnerable shit. and
Yeah.
fucking put a dagger through my heart, and it makes me laugh because he's fucking funny and he's telling
Yes.
the goddamn truth about me, and he's telling the truth about my faults and shit. And there's tons
Yeah.
of comedians that can do that. You know,
Mhm.
Kinane will come into a room and do something like that, and Patton
Correct.
will, and there's all
Yep.
these fucking guys who will do it, and you can do it on Twitter too. But then other people jump in, and I'm like, dude, I don't know you.
No, you're
just
not on
being
that.
mean.
You're not on that elite squad. I apologize, but like it's just, yeah. Even there are those people who, yeah, and it's online. It's just
Yes.
it doesn't. I can hear that person's tone of voice. I can't hear yours,
Yeah.
and yours sounds shitty. So,
Yeah.
but
100%.
but yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Okay, let's roll next caller.
Mama.
You heard that?
Hi
Sounds like she
guys,
just- my wife
my
just-
name is Sarah from New Jersey. I just came back from a trip to Hawaii with my family, my husband and my 3 kids. And my husband, last couple days on our trip, was being a real dickhead. And I just want to know, what you guys would do in that position. We have 3 kids. He kind of left me hanging, was kind of just being a jerk to me and the kids because he was cranky. And, I was trying to be nice, but not sure where to go from here because it really pisses me off that he's acting like a big baby at the end of our trip. All right. Let's hear what you guys have to say. Thanks.
There's a lot of layers to that.
There's a lot of layers. I will say I will own the fact that when we had my sister-in-law and an old friend of Kara's in town, I didn't realize I was kind of hair trigger at times where I was just like, I felt like we had so much stuff to cover. Like we had like an outdoor first birthday for Rose out back, and people came and they brought their kids, and I was just, because it was the first time we had like a gathering, and so I was kind of like on edge. Had people in town, had people staying with us, just the friend and the sister, and I was kind of I would snap if I felt even lightly disrespected, kind of thing. So I should say that first off, but it's like I reached a point where I had to own it, and we talked it out, and Karen mentioned it to me, and we both had things that we'd done wrong and stuff. But I will say it sounds like there's no communication in this situation where obviously we don't know what happened, what's going on, but it's just, I mean, I'll just leave it. It comes down to, if he's not going to just own it and know what he was doing, and if he was the total only one at fault, but so you have to go and say, hey, can I talk to you? Can someone watch the 3 kids and let's take a walk or whatever? I think that.
I mean, there's also, like, I wouldn't frame it as he's being a baby. I would just say, like, it seems like there's something that's upsetting you a lot, and it's not working for me. It's not working for me because I was a dick at the end of one vacation, and it was because I was having this is like 10 years ago. This is in Hawaii, and I had basically like a fucking breakdown over climate change. Like I was where everybody is now because I went to school and studied that shit. That's my degree.
Yeah.
And so my wife, after I like flipped out at dinner with a couple of friends in Hawaii and on Kauai, and then when we got back, like it made the last couple of days terrible. And then when we got back, she's like, I realize you've been giving me all these signals that you're really having a hard time with this, and I've been ignoring them. Now, I'm not saying that's what his issue is. And I didn't handle it well. I could have done a lot better than the way I handled it. But there is a flag here to me, and that's he's flipping out at the end of the vacation. So is he upset about what home life is? Is he upset about, or maybe he just, like, I don't know what the situation with the kids are. Are the kids in school? Are the kids home because of COVID? Like, has he not been around the kids a lot, and now he had to spend a whole week with him and he was just fucking losing his mind. Like that's also sort of a thing that happens. Like there's a bunch of different things, and he might not even know why he's upset, and so you have to talk about it. But if this is bothering you that much, this is like a counseling sort of, because this is the kind of shit that can eat away.
Yeah.
This is you got to get to this. And I don't think it's as simple as being a baby, because you're right, he acted like a baby, but then why? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And all the thing that jumped out at me is end of vacation and 3 kids.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
that's a heavy load. So
it's a heavy load. We're coming out of COVID. We've heard a million stories that women have had to pick up so much slack and dudes aren't. Like that story is just being repeated over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I think that there's maybe there's an aspect of that I wonder about. Like when dudes can't fix something, they become kind of paralyzed.
Sure.
Because we want to fix everything, and if we can't, there's a thing there that happens. And women just go, okay, well, we got to get this fucking done. We got to get this done.
Yeah. Yeah. I do feel like I definitely would do, I was the stay-at-home dad while Kara was working in an office in the house, and I loved it, but I also did everything else in the house, and I just occasionally wanted, that like the stereotype of a woman in a movie. Would you just tell me I'm beautiful sometimes? Like.
I mean, for the first 2 years of Finn's life, I took care of him because I was able to do commercials, make a good living, and stay home with the kid. I would just bring him to auditions and stuff. But there were days like straight out of a movie where she would come home and I would just storm over and hand her the baby, go, I'm going to my room. I need alone time.
Yeah.
Like, just like, and that's like the kind of shit you would see in a movie, but reversed,
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, I want more credit, for things.
Yeah.
It's like,
I had that exact conversation.
Never were one who were just like, no, I'm just keeping the family moving. Take me out to dinner sometime. It's just we're just. I mean, that's definitely being a baby, but like
I did that to my wife. I was like, can we just go to a movie, just you and me? Can we do that?
Yeah. She's like, I don't want to go to a movie. You're like, come on. Green Knight's coming out.
Yeah. But there's always something behind a flip out or a thing.
Yeah.
There's always
and
something
you just
there.
got to. I am more terrified of someone filming me all day and then me being angry about something and then going in and arguing with my wife and going, no, I didn't. I did this. And someone running up and going, look, can I show you the tape? Look, the video. You actually did. No. I'm more scared of that than someone being like, here's you drunk in your 20s, and, or whatever. Like
totally.
It's just like, because I know we all have revisionist history. We're all.
Oh yeah.
Life is Rashomon. It is. You saw it this way. They saw it that way. It's just always.
100%.
I mean, the way people tell stories. Even I'll listen to my wife retell a story of how something happened about just an argument at the mall or something, and I'll be like, "What? He never," and he said, "You're a dumb bitch." And what? No, he didn't. He said, "That's my bag you're picking up. That's not your bag." Like, but I do that too. Like everyone kind of, you paint yourself as, I rolled up looking cool. Everyone thought I was awesome, and then this happened. Such bullshit, But yeah, so I think it just comes down to the talk, but find out, what the deal is, and it could be. Don't be afraid of counseling. So yeah. Okay, we got one more call. Apologies, everybody, about the background noise. As I said, this is a funnel of sound. This house I'm in. There's nowhere I could have done this. I'm not doing another fucking show in the bathroom. Apologies to Rick Overton. Provincetown, man. There's nowhere else I could go with the light and the people. So anyway, caller number 3.
Hey honkies, it's me, Claie O'Kane.
Hey,
I have a question. It's not super important, but it might be in the near future. I am eligible for Irish citizenship, and I'm wondering if I should put in the time and effort to get an Irish passport, just in case, things go really upsy-doozy over here in the good old US of A. Yeah, what do you think? I think Ireland's kind of nice, don't you guys? You guys are fitting great. I think. You look a little, potato eating. Okay, that's the question. Should I try to move to Ireland when the shit goes down? I love you.
Love you, Claire. Congrats on your nuptials. I think that was a year ago she got married, something. Maybe 2 years. Time is a flat circle of death. But
are you Irish at all?
Mostly. I have a weird abstract German-ish last name, but most of my family is Irish or English. You are, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's super Irish.
Yes. Yep. It's I always kind of blanch at the idea of getting off the ship, and I've definitely railed against people that are, gonna give up and jump and but I'm also a dude, and it's getting worse and worse and worse for women. So it's really easy for me as when I back to Twitter, wrote about it maybe 10 years ago on Twitter, like, if you're going to be that much of a pussy or whatever I wrote, I didn't say pussy, but like, and then a couple well-spoken females were like, well, you're looking at it that way, but think about it. And I'm kind of like, well, that's a good point. Very easy for me to say that. Ireland is wonderful. I would love dual citizenship. That'd be rad. But I don't know. I don't really have any advice about whether to do it or don't do it. I think that's up to you. I think that's the in and out for me. What do you think, Dave?
Yes. Obviously I study a lot of history. This is not looking great.
Yep.
And then there's different ways it can go. It can be I think that the right will take control, and I think right now there's a lot of talk of violence. Like they're pretty open about it. I mean, you're seeing you're seeing people saying, should we take the school board by force and shit like that? Like it's all very we've seen this before,
Yeah.
So I would, if you can, if it's within your ability, have an escape hatch. There's nothing wrong with having an escape hatch. You don't know where this is going to go. It could go very sort of mild, the right controls thing. It could also be fucking Pinochet. So we don't know what.
Right.
We don't know what it is. So just prepare yourself. Like have an escape hatch. And if you can get Irish citizenship and be a dual citizen, fucking go for it. I would totally, absolutely go for it.
I know it's really hard, smart. But
yeah.
Man,
look, there's a ton of people that can't do this. There's so many people in this country who don't have the ability to get citizenship in another country, don't have it takes like what, $10,000 to get permanent residency in Canada. Well, that's a lot of fucking money for a lot of people out there, particularly people who are making what, fucking $7 an hour in this shithole.
Yeah, totally.
Working their asses off in a fucking McDonald's or some shit and getting no money. Like they can't do it. So, but I also think like, I don't know how much I'm very into mutual aid. I'm very into helping people out at your local level. I think that's going to be the way that people are going to survive all this shit. That's, clearly looks like it's coming. But also like you can do you can help people out from outside the country. There's other things you can do. And not everybody has the fight. Like I get that you have to stay and fight. Well, that's not within everybody. It's just not.
No, exactly.
There's going to be people that stay and fight and really do. And there's going to be a lot of people that just can't. And we have to give them, we have to be able to say like, I know you can't do it. Like if the guy has 3 kids, like he gets to fucking leave if he can, because that's a different animal for him. Yeah. So everyone's got a different thing going on. And I think if you can have an escape hatch, you should make sure it's open and ready just in case, because this could be anything,
Yeah. I think that's a better answer than mine, because it makes it. I kind of just was like, well, do whatever, it's on you. But
I get it.
I mean, I think we need to be as, have as much empathy as we possibly fucking can right now, because so many people just are throwing theirs out the window for pennies.
Yes,
and it's like
it's crazy.
Pennies and shitty promises, and going, no, you're a pussy if you care. It's like, suck my ass. Like, that whole slogan, that whole mind state.
There's a very interesting podcast called "It Can Happen Here" by Robert Evans.
Oh, God.
And the first 10 he did were very like, oh shit, these are all bad things that can happen. And then this season he did some, and he ended, I think it was 6 episodes in, he talked about all of these things that Native American communities are doing to make things better, and how they're changing things, and those things can spread and take on a life and combat climate change and combat our social issues. And so like there are things happening out there that we need to look at, and we need to maybe start focusing on that. But at the same time, Robert Evans also collects machetes and guns for a reason, so
yeah sure, I get it. Yeah, well, on that happy note, that's the end. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on here, and thanks for being cool with the kid and the parents. And
I'm never doing this podcast again. I'm so offended.
Well, I saw it in your eyes.
Well,
I felt
you will get people who don't have kids. It's going to bother, and then you get people like me who I could literally just shut it out and not even fucking.
Yeah, most of the people who know my comedy, who go see my comedy, are either my age or very, very young and have a happy, youthful energy and kind of see past it. Most people. I will say I get like the sweetest people come see me on the road. I'm sure you and Gareth have the same thing when you guys do live shows.
Yeah.
You don't have that asshole contingent that's like, look, man, it just isn't there. It just
we're doing a couple comedy clubs, so it'll be interesting to see who wanders in.
Yeah.
Because
and it is. I mean, it's a hugely popular, internationally popular podcast. If you don't know what the Dollop is, I really love it, and it's so enjoyable. And I was driving thinking about that one you did with Patton, a 2-parter about Reagan. That's probably the hardest I've laughed at any podcast, because you guys playing off each other, and it was also so cathartic, because that was my childhood. I remember him getting elected when I was a little kid, and my parents being like, "Fuck a duck," like we were when Trump was, and kind of seeing him as the worst dude, and then growing up and arguing with people about him who were like, "No, he's a great American," and kind of being like, "No, he was the worst dude," and the epitome of a tool. Where it's just like, you don't really have a will of your own. You're being steered around by white wealth. And so it's this really rare combination where you're laughing and also going, oh, yeah, that was right. That wasn't, because I did, a lot. There are things in my childhood I grew up going, this is this. And you're like, grow up and you're like, no, that was so wrong. It's not. It's so wrong.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, by the way, you're going to be on our podcast in Denver live on the 18th of September.
I'm so psyched.
Paramount. So get tickets if you want to see Matt live. We've been trying to get him on for a while.
Dude, I can't wait. That's such an honor. I can't wait to hear what the story is.
God, I have to go look it up. I forgot what it is.
And do you pick them all?
I picked them all. Yeah.
Amazing. God. So of the profits for the podcast, you should probably get 90%. Gareth, what, 10?
Right. For the always say that.
No, I mean, if my phone's gonna light up, Gareth's be like, fuck you, man. What I do is of value. Is there anything else you want to plug before we go?
No, just go to our tour. We're doing Vegas, Salt Lake City, Denver, and Phoenix. And then we have some later on in the year, San Francisco, Sacramento, and San Diego. So
nice.
To get tickets, go to dolloppodcast.com and listen to the podcast. I also do a podcast called The West Wing Thing, and we talk about the politics of the West Wing thing and how bad they actually are.
Okay, nice. And I've about 24 cities to go, so go to mattbraunger.com.
Oh my God.
And yes, we're at almost all of them. Proof of vax is required, but if you are my fan and you like my stuff, you should have it anyway, and that's what's up. Thankfully, I do not have the most massivist of fan bases, but I think they are they are often the most awful, which is awesome. So thank you so much.
We're also vaccinated.
Good. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Dave. It was awesome having you on.
Yeah, thanks, man. This is good.
Man, Dave is the best. Listen to the Dollop. If you've never heard that podcast, it's one of my top 10 favorite podcasts of all time. If you like advice from one of my many amazing guests coming up, call 323-763-0228. That's 323-763-0228. And thanks. This Might Help with Matt Braunger was created and hosted by me, Matt Braunger. Produced by Outer Circle Media. Executive producers Matt Kleinschmidt and Robert Kelly for the Laugh Button Podcasts.